I knew you wouldn't let us down, Link. Thanks to your valor and skill, my soul is free, and Nabooru is ours once again. Which means that finally, we can complete what we started years ago. We Gerudo have no tolerance for unfinished business.
Lady Urbosa, chieftain of the Gerudo people, fury of the desert, protector of her realm, a one-woman army, able to call lightning in the dark in the split of a second and the snap of her fingers. Urbosa is powerful, she is wise, she is kind, she's totally badass. And she will be playable in Age of Calamity. And in this video, I want to consider Urbosa's place in the game. Not just her place in the story, though we will be looking at that. I also want to consider her mechanically. What will she play like? What will her moveset be? What weapons can we expect her to wield, and what are the costumes we can expect to unlock? I want to consider the totality of Urbosa's place in Age of Calamity. And if you're not too familiar with Hyrule Warriors and how it plays, worry not. I'm looking to make this video accessible even to people who skipped Hyrule Warriors and will be entering Age of Calamity fresh. Starting with her moveset. So first I'm going to give a little primer on how Hyrule Warriors actually plays for those of you who are unfamiliar. If you are familiar, there will be a timestamp on the screen for you to skip to if you'd rather not hear information you already know. So in Hyrule Warriors, your moveset is essentially split 4 ways. Your regular attacks, your combo attacks, your special attacks, and your focus spirit attacks. Your regular attacks are accessed with the B button, available in a string up to 9 moves long, depending on your character. These moves are reliable and easy to use, and they're generally great for clearing out groups of enemies, but they're not as strong as your combo attacks, which are the bread and butter of your character. At any point during your regular attack string, you can press Y to perform a combo attack. Depending on how far along your regular attack chain you are when you press Y, you'll perform different combo attacks. These attacks generally relate to traits and fighting styles that your character has. Furthermore, you can press Y on its own to perform a special ability unique to every character. For some characters like Link, it's simply an iconic attack. For other characters like Fi, it activates a passive buff. And for other characters still, it does even more creative things. You'll also notice there are 2 bars on the screen that slowly fill during combat, one yellow and the other green. The yellow bar is known as the special attack gauge, and it fills naturally through attacking enemies, and it can be activated to perform a special attack unique to every character. The other bar is green, and that measures your focus spirit. It can only be filled by collecting magic jars. Once your focus spirit gauge is full, you can activate it to enter focus spirit mode, where your character is stronger and faster for a short duration. If the X button is pressed while in focus spirit mode, or if the focus spirit bar runs out, your character will perform an even stronger special attack. This special attack is usually going to be the strongest thing that you can think of to associate with that character. It is worth noting that so far in Age of Calamity, it seems like the focus spirit bar is gone. Though I don't see them removing it entirely, I'm sure it's just incorporated differently. Considering all of this, let's show off Ganondorf's moveset as an example. His regular attack string is 7 inputs long, and it looks like this. His first combo attack sees him slam enemies airborne and cut them up. Ganondorf's second combo sees him perform a corrupted version of the Skyward Strike. His third combo causes him to swing at enemies wildly all around him. His fourth causes him to smash an energy ball into the ground in front of him. And Ganondorf's fifth and last combo sees him create a portal and attack nearby enemies with a gigantic phantom fist. Pressing Y on its own causes Ganondorf to use his ability, which sees him release all the energy stored by combo attacks. This is measured by the purple bar underneath the yellow one. Ganondorf's special attack, which once again is only accessible once the yellow gauge is full, uses a complete yellow bar to attack enemies in front of him with lightning. His Focus Spirit attack, once again used while in Focus Spirit mode triggered by a full Focus Spirit bar, summons Phantom Beast Ganon to annihilate an enemy in front of him. And all in all, that's Ganondorf's moveset. A strong set of basic attacks, 5 different combo attacks, an ability, a special attack, and a Focus Spirit attack. So now with the basics covered, we can start to think about what Urbosa's moveset would be like in Age of Calamity. How does Urbosa fight? Well, she fights like this.
I've never seen you so serious, Urbosa.
Oh my. I can't say the same. 10 years ago, you rarely smiled, my little bird.
Urbosa, I feel like you've called me Little Bird before. I was wondering where you got that name from. Huh?
Halt and face me. Unlike you traitors, I prefer to fight my enemies head on. Do your worst. Out of respect for our princess, you may keep your lives. Now go!
She fights with a scimitar in one hand and a shield in the other, and with the power of lightning a mere gesture away. Out of all the champions, I actually think Urbosa has the easiest moveset to come up with. Though, it turns out we don't have to come up with everything. We got a very in-depth look at Urbosa during the Treehouse Live, and we can use that to extract the majority of Urbosa's moveset, and then fill in the cracks ourselves with educated guesses. Starting with her basic attack combo, which we get a clear look at. Her combo seems to be 7 inputs long. The first sees her swinging her shield in an upward direction. The follow-up is a clockwise spin forward and horizontal slash. The third move is another slash in the opposite direction, and the fourth is another spin followed by a rising slash. The fifth is another horizontal slash. The sixth attack sees Urbosa leap into the air and put all her momentum into another spin slash, and the seventh sees a repeat of the same slash. This combo doesn't seem particularly good at crowd clearing, instead focusing on doing well against individual targets. As for Urbosa's strong attack combos, we get to see her second, third, and fourth strong attacks, but we never see the first strong attack, nor a fifth if she indeed has one, as some characters do only have 4 strong attacks. Like I said, we don't get to know Urbosa's first strong attack combo, but we can make a guess. First strong attacks tend to be useful but not overwhelming. Urbosa has plenty of AoE attacks, but she doesn't have much in terms of long range. I'm going to hazard a guess that after her upward strike, she'll send a bolt of ranged lightning out directly in front of her. Her second combo is a spinning slash similar to what you see in her basic attacks, but one that crashes lightning down in time with her sword swings, and can be maintained with further button presses, for a torrent of lightning that devastates the enemy being hit as well as those all around him. Her third strong attack combo sees her briefly charge her blade before vertically swinging towards the ground and creating a cone of lightning. And her fourth combo, following the rising slash, is an electrified backflip that shocks nearly every enemy in front of her. When she hits an opponent with an emptied guard gauge, Urbosa performs a sequence of slashes all around the enemy, which call down streaks of lightning, and ends with a last massive torrent of lightning being called with her patented Urbosa Snap. As for Urbosa's special ability, it is, as you can imagine, based around electricity. The bar in the top left marked with the lightning bolt measures how charged Urbosa is. If she has at least one charged bar, her weapon becomes electrified. This strengthens basic attacks of course, but it also strengthens the strong attacks and allows Urbosa to, as the presenter puts it, do some very character-specific things. The meter is increased by making Urbosa charge it, which can be seemingly done at any time by almost certainly holding the Y button, but also by continuing to hold Y after performing a strong attack. If the attack created a lot of electricity, some of the leftover bolts will be absorbed into Urbosa and allow her to charge a little quicker. Just pressing Y on its own causes Urbosa to perform a powerful electrical thrust with her scimitar, using a bar of lightning but causing a lot of damage. Urbosa's special attack is a sort of enhanced form of Urbosa's Fury, as lightning continues to cascade all around her before she finally snaps and sends a powerful surge down to annihilate enemies not finished by the initial volley. Each champion also has access to rune abilities, and we've seen Urbosa use bombs and stasis. Her use of bombs isn't remarkable, but just look how badass this stasis attack is. I won't be making a guess at Focus Spirit replacements, since we don't know how they're reincorporated, if they even are at all.
No longer, I say. I will pilot this divine beast.
Moveset aside, let's talk about story implication. What kind of missions can we expect to play as Urbosa? Well, let's crack open our Creating a Champion book for some ideas. Urbosa first appears in the chronology as Chieftain of the Gerudo, being introduced to an infant Zelda by the Queen of Hyrule, later attending the Queen's funeral. We later see Urbosa and Zelda growing closer as Urbosa accompanies Princess Zelda on her visits to the Sacred Springs, and they certainly can use this as inspiration for missions. Urbosa was likely accompanying Zelda to the springs explicitly for protection, so let's have her protect Zelda. Perhaps a mission plays out in which Zelda and Urbosa have to take shelter in a small town on the way from one shrine to another, and are assaulted by monsters, with Urbosa and Zelda being playable characters. We obviously know that Zelda asks Urbosa to pilot Va Naboris, and that she accepts. We see this directly in the most recent trailer.
I will pilot this divine beast.
The book also mentions that Urbosa has to complete some unnamed trials to prove her worth as a pilot. These trials were later expanded on in the Ballad of Champions DLC, and we're now aware that Urbosa's trial was in 3 parts. The trial hardest to convert into a mission is the one in which Urbosa evidently has to ride sand seals through a series of rings. Maybe the player could control another character who defends Urbosa from attack while she rides around the sand seals in a cutscene, but my guess is that they'll likely just skip this one or relegate it to a cutscene. The next 2 trials, however, are full of mission potential. One sees Urbosa take down the Molduking. The boss monsters in the first Hyrule Warriors were a ton of fun to fight, and I have no doubt Molduking would make an equally fantastic boss monster to base an entire mission around. And the last trial, which makes the most sense to turn into a mission, sees Urbosa fighting her way to the center of the Yiga Clan hideout to drop a ball into it. I would absolutely love to see the Yiga Hideout turned into a map, and this seems as good of a reason as any to make that happen. Outside of the trials, there are a few hints towards adventures Urbosa underwent that could be made into entertaining, optional side missions. Perhaps Urbosa has to venture into the lair of a powerful Wizardrobe who's using gifted malice to resurrect the dead and attack innocent cities. This would explain the existence of a legend in Gerudo Town, in which Urbosa seemingly saved the town from an evil ghost. It makes sense to mix up Wizardrobe with ghosts, since they also often disappear. In the trailer, we also see Urbosa draw weapons in the company of Link and Zelda, and it can be assumed that this is part of the same sequence in which we see her fight Yiga in Gerudo Town, so it's reasonable to believe that Yiga attacked Gerudo Town at some point, which will obviously be a mission. At any rate, after completing the trials and proving her worth, Urbosa is made a champion, and spends some time with the other champions during the lead up to the knighting ceremony and afterwards. It's obvious that Age of Calamity is going to take as much advantage of the champions being together and fighting together as they can, as evident in multiple scenes during the trailers. It's easy to imagine the developers being able to extract a good few missions out of this, out of the champions spending time and bantering with one another as they complete a few missions together. I love the idea of each champion having a mission with each other champion at least once, and I only hope that we get this. Imagine Daruk trying to protect Urbosa but ultimately needing protection. Imagine Urbosa and Mipha on a mission together, where Urbosa is able to help Mipha gain a little confidence. Or Revali trying to outdo Urbosa like he always does, only to be brought to a rude awakening by Urbosa's raw talent. I really hope we get the opportunity to explore the interactions between the champions. And we all know what happens next.
Both you and the princess, I know you have suffered much regarding what happened to us champions. But this is how things had to happen. No one need carry blame. So please, make it clear so she understands that. Tell her to shed any worries. And let her know I couldn't be more proud of her.
The Guardians and the Divine Beasts are taken over by Calamity Ganon, and Urbosa is trapped in Va Naboris and defeated by Thunderblight Ganon. Undoubtedly, we'll play through her tragic death, though I've seen it debated whether we'll play as her or the Thunderblight. Naturally, this will be the end of Urbosa's story. Though, if the developers are willing to get a little daring, I think there could be one more very exciting mission. Imagine if, after we beat the main game, we unlock a set of levels in which we play as the spirit forms of the champions during the events of Breath of the Wild. Perhaps as the Divine Beasts are attacking Calamity Ganon, and Link prepares to kill him, in an act of desperation, Calamity Ganon fills Va Naboris with malice creatures after it had already been freed by Link. And as Spirit Urbosa, you must rid the Divine Beast of these creatures so Link can focus on defeating Ganon. I think this would be an excellent reward for beating the game, and allow us to end on a slightly more cheerful note than Urbosa's untimely death. Regardless, Urbosa lived an exciting life, one that has no shortage of inspiration for missions we could play in Age of Calamity.
Welcome, warriors. I'd like to thank you for joining me here today. And for your bravery in accepting this fateful task. I officially appoint you Hyrule's champions, and bestow upon you this sacred garb. That blue is a symbol of the royal family, one that has been passed down for countless generations. Those garments you now wear were all crafted by my daughter, Zelda.
With story and potential missions in the bag, how about weapons and costumes? For weapons, we see that she's wielding the Scimitar of the Seven and Daybreaker, which is to be expected. I imagine she'll also be able to use lesser scimitars and shields, such as the Gerudo Shield and Gerudo Scimitar. Many characters in Hyrule Warriors also have alternate weapons with entirely new movesets. And while I'm not going to lay out what her new moveset would be, I will say that if Urbosa is going to have an alternate moveset, it will almost certainly be based around crushing her opponents to death with the raw power of her thigh. It would almost certainly be based around the Thunder Helm and probably a pair of gauntlets, similar to Link's gauntlet moveset in the first Hyrule Warriors, but with even more lightning due to the Thunder Helm. As for costumes, her default would be the standard chieftain garb that we see her in most of the time, and after becoming a champion, she would unlock her champion's garb for use at any time. If Thunderhelm doesn't get utilized in an alternate moveset, it should absolutely appear as a costume. And of course, if we get the spirit levels I mentioned before, beating the level should unlock her spirit form as a costume for use anywhere. And most importantly, I hope she's able to have a costume that makes direct reference to Nabooru, whether it be literally her in Nabooru's outfit, or simply wearing a pink or white skirt with a top that has a similar pattern to Nabooru. Urbosa has a lot of potential as a character, and I am so excited to see how she turns out in Age of Calamity. The ability to harness Urbosa's fury directly will be thrilling, and I can't wait to see how her story unfolds, even if I know how sad it ends. Though Ganon's forces would eventually succeed against Urbosa, they will never, ever forget the day they had to face down Lady Urbosa, Fury of the Desert.
It was written that Calamity Ganon once adopted the form of a Gerudo. And that will make this victory all the more satisfying. I like that. Now I can take this personally. Once we've established a lock on that thing, it will be up to Link to keep Ganon occupied until the moment we unleash our strike. That moment is going to be so delicious.